Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. I wanted to give you guys a quick update on version 1.03 is what we're on now. So 1.03 update. So with this update release, it's also going to be the release of this beautiful Cat 535D skidder, which I know a lot of people are excited for. It turned out really well, looks really great, operates fantastically. I've had approval from my testers, and so far it's working out great. Now, the one dilemma I've hit now as a modder, because of the weight of the machines, we're having issues with the locking straps. And I've had lots of you sending me videos and pictures showing when you lock down a machine to the trailer, as soon as you unlock it, it kind of like pops up or kind of shoots off the trailer. So, first things first, the track machines do not need to be strapped down. In fact, I highly recommend you do not strap down the track machines. They're heavy enough that they pretty much stick to these trailers and they don't slide around. I'm going to give you guys some examples here and show you what I've discovered so far. Yeah, so what I did is I removed all the locking straps off the trailer except for one on the rear in the middle here. Now, the reason I've done that is because when you drive a piece of equipment on there that's tracked, I'm hoping people don't use the locking straps, and if they do, it'll be far enough ahead it won't trigger it. Maybe that will help a little bit. But that being said, the wheeled machines still have a different type of friction point on the wheels, and if you don't lock something down on them, they tend to slide around a bit. So, yeah, I'll show you guys kind of what I mean here. So, if you hit L on the trailer now, there's this one locking strap way at the rear here. Now, the reason I left one on there is because I know some people need to lock stuff down or want to lock stuff down. Things like the skidder probably do need to be locked down if you're traveling at high rates and turning. It will slide off the trailer. So, for something like the skidder, what I would do is I'd fire this puppy up, get in here, and what I would do is I'd park it face first, so blade forward onto the trailer, like so. And then what I do is I leave just that back end or just the grapple in that strapping point, which is kind of near the rear. So even if you parked it in the middle, your rear part's still going to lock down to it. So when you hit L, it'll actually lock that rear end. Now this one's light enough, it kind of glitches a little bit, but it doesn't do that like crazy shoot off the trailer thing. It just kind of does a jitter. So as soon as you see that strap, it means it's locked. I can close my rear thingies here and then drive away. Now, like I said, with the skidder, I do highly recommend you lock it down because it does have a tendency to float around, especially if you're doing sharp turns or angles or any kind of weird stuff. It might pop off the trailer. But as long as it's got that lock on there, she settles pretty nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this over to this site where I was doing some testing, and then I'll show you what I mean by not having to lock the track machines. So like I said, that guy's sitting on there really nice. You have no problem. You can travel around, go up wherever you need to go, as long as you're parked within kind of that little bit of the end there. But the reason I put it so far back is so that hopefully when people drive track machines on, they're not locking them. I'm trying to mitigate that a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to park this past here, and then we'll drive that track machine on there. So to unload, simply hit X, hit L to detach. As you can see, it does a little jitter, but nothing too bad. Fire this guy up. And we'll just go park this off to the side. And we'll leave that there. Perfect. Okay. So now for track machines, again, same thing. So I'll show you what happens if you lock them to the trailer. This is what people have been sending me picture-wise. So if I park the machine close enough to the butt end of this trailer, it will engage that locking strap. So let's climb up here. And as much as I wanted to remove just all locking straps off the trailer, you can't really do that because people need them. So if I hit L, watch what happens. Oops. Bloop. It wants to float down right into the trailer. Now, this isn't a weight issue. I thought it was a weight issue, but the thing is, this weighs almost as much as this. So it shouldn't be a weight issue. Shouldn't have an issue with that. There's got to be something else going on with the way the locking straps work, and I've tried a couple different variations and can't seem to figure out how to fix that. That being said, all track machines do not require you to lock down. So if I unlock it, it kind of goes pew and shoots out of there. Now sometimes you lock it down and it actually like shoots up in the air. It's horrible. So that being said, if you have a track piece of equipment just keep driving it ahead. Or, I mean, you could put it anywhere on the trailer. Just don't lock it. So you can either put it, right, you know, way far ahead here. Let's park it right here. That way, when I get into the truck, my locking strap doesn't actually affect the load. It just sits there. The other alternative is you can park it anywhere on the trailer, just don't hit the locking strap button. So anything with tracks, don't lock it down. And I'll show you here. We can do just as smooth of a drive with this guy, not locked at all, because it's got so much weight and so much friction that it just doesn't move. It stays on the trailer, balances. It doesn't slip or slide or float or nothing. It's pretty good. And like I said, you can go all the way out to the bush. Sorry, this stupid collision camera thing is whacking into the thing here. And you can go drive around the world, no problem. Again, maybe if you hit a wall really hard at full speed, it would come off there, but I mean, hopefully you don't do that. So, well, let's test it. Let's hit a wall. I'm sure if you hit a wall, it'll come off there, but doing just regular travel through the bush and stuff, it's probably fine. So let's run into a tree head on. I wouldn't recommend this. Head on tree. Bonk. So it did slide ahead a bit on the trailer, but like, that's pretty darn good for not needing locking straps. So, like I said, you don't really need locking straps for anything with tracks. They are slightly loose on there. And I mean, if you really want to use the locking strap, you can, but the machine might go flippity-flop all over the place. So for anything with tracks, you don't need it. If not, that back locking strap is there if you need it. Okay, perfect. So actually, we're going to bring this back to the site because I want to show you guys some other changes to 1.03. Like I said, I like to... I have patch notes that I release with these releases, but it's kind of fun to have a little video so I can show you guys the cool things that we've done here. So the first thing I'll show you is the trees and the grapples. So the trees have had a tiny weight increase, not like an extreme weight increase, but just like a little bit. So they've gone up by like 0.25. So they're just a tiny bit heavier, but I find whether you're bunching or whether you're you know, skidding or picking them up or loading them, just that tiny bit of extra weight makes it a lot smoother to work with. So I'm just gonna park this guy right back here again, and we'll go X, and we'll just unload this guy again. Boop. All right, so the grapples have been changed a little bit. So this is the Rotorake grapple. It's also been altered on the processor claw. So the processor claw works a little bit more effectively as well. I'm just going to turn my machine around so I know which way I'm going here. Okay, so that being said, the logs, like I said, do have a little bit more weight to them, so they feel a little bit more skookum. So when you grab them, they actually have a little bit more weight to them, and you can feel it. Well, you know, you can feel it in your grabs visually when you pick up. They settle a lot nicer on the ground. You know, the weight's actually there so they don't flick around. I found with the last version, the trees were like really easy to flick around, a little bit too easy. I'm sure some of the small ones you'll probably still have a little bit of weirdness with, but for the most part, they seem to settle a lot nicer. This head is still a bit springy, but less springy than it was. So it doesn't have as much of that kind of like when you go to grab a log, it would shoot them off 100 miles away. So now when you go, you can actually get pretty decent grabs. They settle in there quite nice too when you're loading, which is quite sweet. So you can move them around, do whatever you want with them. Also, oh, here, I'll grab a couple more. But yeah, anyway, so I played with the dampening on the physics and a whole bunch of other weird things that we don't need to go into detail on. But it's basically just made them a lot more stable for operating. Because I saw a few videos of people operating and they were pretty wobbly on some log types. So now we actually have heavier logs and more consistently stable grapples. So I think once you guys are like whipping through trees and playing around, you'll probably have a lot more fun. And for people who are asking, you definitely can still pencil with this head. You just have to do it like kind of like real life where you do the long range penciling. They kind of stretch their arm way out there like that and then drop it, open up their claw, chunk, and then as you go, turn it this way and then drop it in. So that's kind of how you do the ones in real life. Well, at least a guy that ran a big Medill in real life showed me that, and he said that's the only way to do it. So I'll do it one more time just for entertainment. So like I said, you kind of stretch your arm way out there, turn your head so that it sits flat, open your claw just a little bit so it starts sliding, and then as you grip, turn your claw this way and then pull it in. Because if you try to turn it towards yourself, sometimes you'll lose your log. So if I go like this and I try to turn it towards myself, well, that one held well, but the guy in the bush said if you try to turn it towards yourself, you can shoot a log out and it might hit you in the cab. The other reason is sometimes as you're tilting out, they kind of fall out of sync with each other. So when he was doing it, like I said, he had it out here, dropped it, turned it out to the side like that, and then kind of shoveled it back towards himself and then put it in the pile. Anyway, just a fun technique for people who are like, you can't pencil anymore. Well, in 2019, our grapples were very, very unrealistic the way we had them set up because the range for tilt was like extremely high, and it's not supposed to be like that. Even in real life, it's not like that. So it's going to be a little more realistic on this one. We're going to try anyway. Okay, so that being said, it's also better on the long logs. So I got a few long logs. Looks like I hit them with the trailer here, so they're all over the place. The weights, like I said, you definitely do feel the weights on the logs while you're working a little bit more, but like it's a positive thing, especially when you're loading trucks. You'll notice they settle a lot nicer while you're putting them on there. Get a pretty good grab here. Hung up on stuff. There we go. So it's you can get pretty decent grabs. If you grab too many trees at once, obviously your grapple's not going to be perfect because it's got a little bit of dampening on the sides. But for the most part, like I said, you can shuffle them from point A to point B, no problem. Same if you're doing drags in the bush and stuff, if you're hoe chucking, all that fun stuff. Rotation's good. And like I said, they sit quite nicely if you're loading trucks. You can settle them quite nicely on the ground. Yeah, so that's good. Anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. New logs, new grapples. This also will not hurt your save game. So if you replace your map with this new map, it won't affect your save game. The tree weights will be updated. The trees won't grow back, anything like that. It'll be all good. On the John Deere with the South Star head. So what did we do on this one? So we made the claw on the back a little less springy as well. So when you go do grab your trees, it does run quite nicely. Hangs on, but not too tight, so it's a little less jumpy. Also fixed the cut node, so when you're cutting, the range was a problem. So for instance, what would happen before is I'd go to reach into a pile and I'd be hovering above this height and I could cut trees out of the pile from this height. So it was just too big of a range. Now it kind of sticks to the range of your saw in there because I kind of played around with it. So as long as your saws your logs kind of in, let's close this one, somewhere kind of in the range of the actual cut node. So like if it's hanging down like that, it's not going to cut. If it's up there, it's not going to cut. If it's up here, it's going to cut. If it's off too far to the left or the right, it's not going to cut. You're going to have to bring it up so that's actually in the grapple properly. So like about here, that's the best. And then it'll actually cut it. But yeah, it doesn't have that crazy long range that it used to. It's still good for like cutting down trees and stuff. I had a few people mention that the head doesn't go up far enough, but that's just the way the physics work. So you do have to swing your head a little bit into the tree, and then once you do get a grip on it, just squeeze your tongs, squeeze this, and then generally, I'm hitting the other tree here. There you go. And then you can cut it. Boop. Just like so. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty straightforward for working it and stuff. It's just, you got to get used to it and play around with it for a little bit. What else did we do? Tiger Cat 880. Oh, and the 909. We fixed the joints. So the joints were a little off center with the actual heads. So I fixed that. On the buncher head, I think I fixed that as well. The head was a little bit off center, but it's quite a bit better now. This thing also works really well with the heavy trees. They seem to stack a lot nicer when you drop them. Well, let's see here. Let's do a test. Hopefully we don't get any disappearing trees. As I say it. It's so funny, whenever I start a map, it's the first, few trees I can delete, and then it just stops eventually, and I can't do it anymore. So I don't know if that's just the game, or what's going on there. See, that one disappeared. But then I'll get going for a while, and then I'll never get another one to disappear. So I don't know if it's, the first tree you cut of each type or something. I have no idea. But now when you drop them, they kind of fall on a heavier clunk to the ground. So when you go to drop them, like I said, they feel a little bit more sturdy when you drop them, which is actually quite nice. It's the way it should be. I'm just gonna do 3 more. This gets really addictive after a while. As long as they're not disappearing. God, I wish I could get rid of that entirely, but welcome to the modern life. Nothing's perfect. But yeah, just that drop is just... They just stay there. On the lighter trees that we had before, you'd drop them and they'd kind of go pew and shoot all over the place. So hopefully this will be a little bit nicer for you guys. Other than that, those are the main changes. So the Skidder coming out, it's obviously the big update that everybody's excited for. This other stuff is just kind of bonus goodies, so hopefully that works out for you. If you guys have any questions or comments, or you find anything really out of the whack, please let me know in the comments below, and I will get looking at it. All right, thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.